The prices are just too on the high side. It's on the high side, especially for middle class, low income earners.
Walmart warned us, and now they've done it. Walmart just jacked up their prices, and I have the list right over here. Some everyday essentials up 50% almost overnight.
$17.49 for one can of coffee in America. This used to be $11.99 a month and a half ago.
2 years ago, for $50, you could buy enough eggs, milk, and meat for the whole week at Walmart. Today, with the same amount of money, you're leaving with a bag that's almost empty. At a Costco store in Mississippi, the price of gasoline has surpassed that of New York. At Walmart in West Virginia, egg prices increased by over 80% in just 2 years. Brands that were once symbols of affordability for everyone are now places that force millions to cut meals, skip medication, and sacrifice the last bit of kindness they have for themselves. Are Costco and Walmart at fault? Or perhaps it was America itself that left the weakest states to be affected by the price mechanism? What's really going on? In today's video, we'll explore the top 10 states struggling as Costco and Walmart raise prices, and the real reason behind it will surprise you. Let's move on to the first name. West Virginia, where winding mountain roads once led to coal mines, now lead directly to the nearest Walmart. But there's an irony at play. What was once seen as a lifeline for the people of Appalachia is gradually becoming a burden each week. What's happening in this state? According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, food prices in this state have increased by over 16% in the past 2 years alone, the highest in the southeast region. Imagine the price of a dozen eggs, once the cheapest breakfast food, has increased from $1.60 to nearly $3. Not much. Ask someone who lives on a $900 monthly pension. Every penny counts. While the average income in West Virginia remains among the lowest in the country, the shopping basket at Walmart, which is the most common place to shop, is no longer common at all. But this is what's remarkable. West Virginia also has one of the lowest Costco membership rates in the United States, simply because there aren't many Costcos here. So when Walmart, the primary choice for price increases, has no place else to turn, people have almost nowhere else to go. An elderly man in Beckley shared in an interview, "I'm not complaining, but now every time I go to the market, I have to choose bread or back pain medication." Not both. It's not just a personal story. That's the story of a state that once prided itself on hard work, now telling itself that saving is also a job. What about you? Are you living in a place where prices are quietly changing the lifestyles of the entire community? Please share with us by leaving a comment below this video. Next, we'll head to Mississippi, where gas prices at Costco are even higher than in New York. What's happening? Don't look away. This is something you definitely want to hear. There are mornings in Mississippi when you'll see something very strange, yet familiar: an elderly man in a worn-out shirt pushing an empty shopping cart strolling along the Walmart aisles. No rush, not buying anything. Just silently looked at the price, then continued on. They're not just browsing and choosing goods, but rather they're counting every penny. An elderly man shared, "I still go to Walmart every week, but now it's just to keep the habit. Because if I look closely at the bill, I won't be able to sleep." And here's a sobering fact. Over the past 12 months, the average gas price at Costco in Jackson, Mississippi, has exceeded the average in New York City. Yes, that's right. In one of the poorest states in the US, fuel prices have risen to an unimaginable level, which is the worst news for retirees. Meanwhile, the prices of household items like toilet paper, detergents, milk, and eggs at Walmart in Gulfport have increased by as much as 20–25% in just 2 years. Doesn't sound like too much, does it? That's right. But in Mississippi, where the median household income is only about $52,000 per year, that's a significant difference every time you go to the grocery store. The people here don't have many choices. There's no Trader Joe's. There are no local grocery chains that are competitive enough. And Costco, some counties don't even have a single store within 60 miles. So when Walmart adjusts its prices, they have no room to maneuver. Have you ever gone to the market just to look, instead of buying just to feel a little normal? Next, we'll go to New Mexico, where distance and geography are trapping Native Americans in an invisible price trap. You won't believe what's happening there. Let's continue because the story is just beginning. In the sun-baked land of New Mexico, where the desert stretches to the horizon and small towns are separated by dozens of miles, people don't just live with geographical distance, they also live with the price difference. In many indigenous communities, in the Navajo Nation and rural areas of northern New Mexico, Walmart is not just a place to shop, but almost the only source of food within a 100-mile radius. But here's the part that makes things unbelievable. The cost of shipping goods into these areas is up to 40% higher than in the plain states. And who bears that geographical surcharge? Not Walmart, but it's the consumers. A report from the Brookings Institution indicates that in rural areas of New Mexico, the average price of fresh food is 20–25% higher than in Albuquerque. An apple might be cheaper in the city, but in the Four Corners region, suburbs, it costs as much as a child's entire dinner. With a high poverty rate and nearly 30% of the population living below the food security standard, Walmart is acting as an informal food bank. People don't come here to choose, but to try to survive on the few coins they have left at the end of the month. A native woman in Gallup said through tears, "We don't need fancy stores. We just need a place where the price doesn't make us feel small." Have you ever had to drive 60 miles just to buy a loaf of bread and then found out it was twice as expensive as you thought? Please share your story, or if you know someone in a similar situation, leave a comment below this video. Next, we'll head to the state of Arkansas, the home of Walmart. But you'll be surprised to know that the very place where cheapness was born is now struggling against that very model. Let's see what's happening in the hometown of this big guy. Bentonville, Arkansas, where the name Walmart is not just a brand, but an entire history. This is where Sam Walton opened his first store. It is the birthplace of the mass retail model. It is the heart that governs a global empire. But there's a little noticed truth. Even in the state where Walmart was born, people are suffering from silent and painful price increases. According to data from the Arkansas Economic Development Institute, food prices in rural areas of Arkansas increased by over 18% from 2022 to 2024, which is higher than the national average. But in the end, what makes things even more ironic, Arkansas is a landlocked state, and 55% of the goods here must be transported by truck from distant ports. For every gallon of gasoline that increases in price, and for every hour of late delivery, a few more cents are added to the price of milk loaves of bread and packages of baby diapers. And of course, Walmart, even though it's family, still has to calculate costs like everywhere else. Despite having its headquarters here, Walmart doesn't offer any special advantages to the people of Arkansas. Goods are still priced at market rates. The promotional policy couldn't be less welcoming. And with an average income of only about $52,000 per year, many families still feel like strangers, even on the very land where the Walmart empire grew. A retired Walmart employee said, "We are proud of Walmart of what it has created, but now I shop here and can't afford a cart like I did last year. It's strange, isn't it?" What do you think about this? Should we expect a home advantage in an era of global price inflation? Do everyone, including the place where it originated, have to abide by the same market laws? Next, we'll head to Kentucky, where simple meals are disappearing, and the story of a 72-year-old woman will keep you glued to your screen. Stay, because what's coming will be very close to what many of us are facing. In eastern Kentucky, where the Appalachian Mountains embrace small towns, life once revolved around coal mines, churches, and simple dinners. A loaf of white bread, a carton of brown eggs, and slices of bacon used to be so familiar. But now, those things are gradually becoming a luxury. According to statistics from Feeding Kentucky, more than 1 in 7 people in the state are facing food insecurity, and the situation worsened after SNAP benefits were cut at the end of 2023. Meanwhile, prices at Walmart, a primary shopping destination for the vast majority of people, have increased by an average of 21% for essential items like chicken milk, rice, and cooking oil in less than 18 months. The poor in Kentucky are not only paying the price for inflation, but are also burdened with some of the highest consumer taxes in the country. In many rural counties, people still have to pay full taxes when buying food, which is tax-exempt or subsidized in other states. Poor lacking support high prices and then taxes on top of it. a vicious cycle that no one wants to fall into. And then the story of a 72-year-old woman living in Hazard became the most haunting image. I never thought at this age I'd be back to eating instant noodles every day. When I was young, I ate to save money. Mealtime to survive the week. One sentence, but it encapsulates the lives of many people. Have you ever thought about having to choose between blood pressure medication and chicken eggs? In Kentucky, that's happening every day. Next, we'll move into the top 5, and you'll be surprised by the first name, Montana. A place that seems peaceful, but is sinking into an unexpected low-price trap. Don't take your eyes off it, the surprise is still ahead. Montana, the state of endless forests, vast skies, and sparsely populated communities living among the wilderness. Here you can hear the birds before you hear the cars. But there's a sound that's ringing out clearer in the hearts of the people, the sigh of relief at the supermarket bill. In many small towns like Glendive Dillon or Shelby, the nearest Costco store is over 70 to 80 miles away, and that's just the outbound journey. A simple calculation: if you drive 160 miles round trip to shop at Costco, it costs about 5 to 6 gallons of gas, which is zero just to get the cheap prices. But if the price of milk at Costco is only 80 cents cheaper than at the Walmart near me, is that trip still economical? But that's not all. Many Montanans are spending money to save and ultimately losing twice they're losing money on gas. It's a waste of time. Again, buying more than needed just because they want to make the most of it. An old man in Le Havre shared, "We don't go to Costco because it's cheap, but because it makes us feel like we still have choices. But every time I get home, I wonder, did I really save anything?" According to the Montana Food Bank Network, the need for food assistance in the state increased by over 23% from 2022 to 2024, particularly in counties without a major supermarket within a 50-mile radius. Have you ever found yourself spending more just to feel like you're saving? Next, we go to Louisiana, where natural disasters have caused prices to skyrocket, and people are paying twice, once for the challenge and once for the goods. Let's explore what's really pushing states like Louisiana into a difficult position. If you've ever lived in Louisiana, you'll understand here, people don't just fight hurricanes with sandbags, they also fight prices with every single penny. And the irony is that the very places that once saved people through the most difficult times are now the ones that make people hesitate the most every time they enter. Do you know, during Hurricane Ida in 2021, many Walmart stores in Baton Rouge and New Orleans became shelters for hundreds of people, with some even distributing free food. But just 3 years later, in those very same stores, a gallon of fresh milk had nearly doubled in price. According to data from the USDA and Feeding America, Louisiana is currently among the top 5 states with the highest rates of food insecurity in the United States, with over 17% of the population regularly not having enough to eat each month. Many minority communities, especially Black and Latinx people living in suburban areas, don't have many options besides Walmart. Small local shops have disappeared after the storm, Costco miles away. So when Walmart raises prices even by a few percent, they have nowhere else to maneuver. A single mother in Lafourche Parish shared, "I used to believe Walmart was a place that could help me get through the day. Now I have to count every roll of toilet paper." And imagine this, some basic items like bottled water, flour and batteries, essentials when a storm hits, have increased in price by over 30% since 2022. While Louisianans are accustomed to living near water, they now have to learn how to live far from affordable prices. What do you think when the place that once saved you in a storm is now the place that makes you skip dinner? Do prices also have memories? Next, we go to Alabama, where seemingly small figures like consumption taxes are quietly eroding family meals. And you won't believe this state is taxing even poverty. Stay with us, because the next truth might surprise you more than you think. There's something strange that not everyone knows. In Alabama, you have to pay taxes when you buy apples, and when buying milk, and also eggs, bread, chicken, vegetables, everything that even the most minimalist family needs. Alabama is one of the last 3 states in the US to still impose a full sales tax on groceries, with a state tax of 4% plus local taxes that can push the figure to 10% or higher. Yes, a low-income family in Birmingham might be paying more in food taxes than a household in Manhattan. In the context of prices at Walmart and Costco increasing by an average of 17 to 22% in the last 2 years, Alabamians are not only paying more for groceries, but are also having to pay additional taxes due to their poverty. Even more sadly, this is one of the states with the highest poverty rates in the US, yet it implements the most counterintuitive tax policies. The poor are not exempt. Food is not considered essential and is therefore not tax exempt. And stores like Walmart, which hold a large share of consumer spending, don't have competitors strong enough to drive prices down. A 68-year-old woman in Selma recounted, "I pay an extra $3 in taxes each time I go to the market, which doesn't sound like much. But when you live on a $780 monthly pension, $3 is 3 breakfasts. A simple meal shouldn't be something you have to bargain for. But in Alabama, even vegetables bear the burden of injustice. Do you think taxes should be levied equally or based on ability to pay? And if food is a necessity, then why should the poor have to pay extra to live minimally?" Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Next, we move on to the top 2. And this is a state with the highest percentage of retirees in the country. But now the elderly there seem to be suffocating daily under the weight of the supermarket shelves themselves. Stay, because the next story might shock you if you're also living on a pension. South Dakota, where the prairies stretch wide, where winters come early and stay long. And it's also a place where nearly 1/5 of the population is over 65 years old, living on pensions, social security, and a habit of saving frugally through each season. But it's here in the Walmarts of Sioux Falls or Rapid City that you start to see something different. It's not about the goods, but about the buyers. According to the South Dakota Budget and Policy Project, food costs in the state have increased by 19% since 2022, while the increase in retirement income is only just over 3%. And do you know what's even more bitter? Walmart, once a companion to retirees, is now the place where they feel most lost. It's not because there are no more sale items, and because the items that were once within reach are now beyond our means. Carrot bag up 25 cents. Fresh milk 1 gallon increased by in less than a year. Eggs nearly twice as high as before COVID. Those numbers are small for someone with a stable income. But for people living on $850 to $200 a month, they are a trade-off. An elderly woman in Aberdeen said, "I used to charge with joy. Now I have to count the meals I'm missing." Even more heartbreakingly, in rural areas like Tripp or Buffalo County, Costco is a luxury both geographically and conceptually. There are no stores within a 100-mile radius. Do not buy in bulk. No membership fees. No car to take me. Walmart is the only place. But it's also the final place. Have you ever walked out of a supermarket without buying anything, not because you didn't want to, but because you couldn't? If so, you're not alone. Next is state number 1, a name few would expect. But here, everything from eggs to toilet paper has doubled in price. And that's making the simple American lifestyle more out of reach than ever. Let's explore what's really happening in Maine, a place that seems peaceful but is struggling with rising costs. Maine, with its foggy harbors, peaceful coastal towns, and simple lifestyle, is what many older Americans once dreamed of after retirement. This used to be a place to escape the noise. But now it's becoming the focal point of a price crisis that few anticipated. According to the Maine Center for Economic Policy, the price of essential consumer goods in rural Maine has increased by 18% to 28% within 2 years. Eggs. It almost doubled. Toilet paper, dish soap, unsalted butter. Likewise, a roll of toilet paper that used to cost $4 now costs nearly $8. A dozen eggs that used to cost $1.80 are now over $3.50, and that's when you're lucky enough to find any. What allowed Maine to jump straight to the number 1 spot on this list? Despite being located right on the Atlantic coast, Maine is one of the states with the highest cost of shipping goods in the country. why the terrain is elongated with mountains interspersed with forests, low population density leading to little incentive for retail chains to expand. Additionally, there is a lack of local competition. Besides Walmart, there are almost no major supermarket chains with enough pricing power. And when transportation is difficult and costs increase, the people are always the ones who pay the price in the end. A retired couple in Bangor shared, "We moved here for the peace and quiet. The peace and quiet is still here, but the refrigerator isn't what it used to be." With an average retirement income of around $24,000 per year, every small price increase feels like a ripple effect hitting the household economy. Do you think living in a slow, peaceful place will help you live cheaply? Maine just proved the opposite. We've traveled through 10 states, each one a different piece of the modern price puzzle. But the more important question is, how many other states are quietly following that path? Let's take a look back, and if you don't see your state on the list, are you sure you're safe? Leave a comment, because who knows, your story might be the 11th state in the next video. We just drove through 10 states. Each place has its own circumstances and nuances, but they all share one thing in common. Prices are gradually pushing the quietest people in society away from even minimal stability. No one blames Walmart or Costco. They're not bad. They are the consequence of an economic system where the weaker you are, the more vulnerable you are, and the less voice you have. And the question isn't just how much a price is rising, but rather who is really paying the price and who is being left behind. Are you feeling like your shopping cart is lighter, but your bill is heavier? Have you ever walked out of a supermarket feeling not because you ran out of money, but because you had no other choice? Is your friend secretly falling into this list, or are you the one living in the economic trough? Please leave a comment below, because only when we speak up will small stories be recognized as big issues. If you find this video helpful, don't hesitate. Click the like button, so YouTube understands this is content worth sharing. Subscribe to the channel if you want to continue following social and economic stories from a real-life perspective, and share the video. Who knows, someone in your contacts might be living in one of the states we just mentioned. This video does not represent any organization, business, or political viewpoint. All information is compiled from public data sources, independent reports, and real-life stories from the community. The sole goal to share, connect, and create kind social conversations. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next videos, where seemingly small things are the stories of an entire nation.